Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about how to write a fight scene. Hey everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Keelan. I am the author of an upcoming YA fantasy novel. It will be available on August 31st, so stay tuned for more of that. But today we are going to be talking about how to write a fight scene. I love writing fight scenes. I have loved writing fight scenes since fanfiction when I was doing my beta reading in my fanfiction era of my life. That was always something that people sought me out for, I guess. So today I'm just going to be going through 5 tips to improve your fight scenes. Hopefully we can get through them pretty quickly. My number 1 tip is to reiterate or at least state in some way what are the stakes. That helps the reader understand the why. What is the purpose of this fight scene? If you're having a fight scene just to have a fight scene and it's not moving the plot forward or doing anything for the character development, then, I mean, it's pointless, and then sorry, kill your darlings. Tip number 2 is going through and doing your research. If you're having a fight scene on pirate ships, understand, you know, the pistols that they have. Make sure you know the different parts of the ships and how 2 ships would, you know, go into battle, and do that research so it's historically accurate. Another example of a great piece of research is looking into martial arts. If your story is, you know, taking inspiration from a certain part of the world or perhaps a certain era in history, maybe you want to look at the martial arts that was popular at the time. Watch pros in real life in that particular martial art or that particular sword fighting. I know there's even knight fighting nowadays. Go to a LARP. I don't know, but watch real life so that you know how people move and what the fluidity is during the battle. Another great thing to do is read about epic battles. Read about real epic battles of history so that you get a sense of, you know, the strategy that was used. So do all of that research, but don't end up using all of it. If there's a really specific term for one particular Taekwondo move that nobody is going to understand, don't put that in your book. Make sure, you know, describe it, but don't put that in your book. Just the same as people might not know every single specific part of a pistol, and if you're using a very specific term, it might just be not the level of detail that's needed for that fight scene. So do your research, make sure you have all the background knowledge, and then don't use it. Tip number 3 is something that I like to call battle language. So battle language are those really aggressive verbs, emotions, senses. I don't want to say it's melodramatic because it's a fight scene, but use those terms that bring up that internal turmoil, that have that grunge to them, that real fighting feeling you're going for. So paint the scene red if gore is what you're going for. Tip number 4 is make stylistic choices in your writing that is well suited to a battle scene. And what I mean by stylistic or writing choices is this is a great time to show and not tell, or to use an active voice versus a passive voice. So just an example of the active voice piece. The active voice is when the actual subject of the sentence is performing the action, versus passive, where it's the opposite, where something's kind of happening to the subject of the sentence. So you want to use that active voice, bring it out more in the fight scenes, because that is what is going to truly engage the readers. Again, with show don't tell, you want to show people what's going on and not just be like, not just tell them what's happening. There was a fight and the bad guys won, or the good guys won. Most people like a happy ending. And finally, my tip number 5 is to be realistic. So within fight scenes, one of the things that bothers me, I guess, to no end, and I mean, it won't ruin a story for me, but it just irks me a little bit, is when nobody dies and the good guys win and all that. And again, it goes with the story and the age group that you in particular are writing. However, you want to make sure that there are realistic ends. If an army of 10,000 is coming at one person, unless that person is Superman and crazy overpowered, which I also am not a huge fan of, then, you know, make sure that you make the scene realistic. Just another thing in terms of realism in battle scenes is make sure you know where everybody is. Part of that realistic sense of a battle is making sure that if someone's a kilometer away on the other side of the front lines, they can't be right next to your protagonist in the next minute. It's going to take time for them to get there, depending on their mode of transportation. If they're on a horse, maybe they can get there in a minute. But just know where everybody is, and a little bit of an extension on that point is know where people's body parts are. If someone just punched someone in the face and then kicked them, or is in the process of kicking them, don't have them kick the other leg, because then they're going to fall over. But anyway. So that's just a little bit about realism there. And I guess my sixth point, my bonus point here, and this is just something that I found in my editing process, it was feedback that my editor gave me and I had never thought of it before, was that don't have large chunks of text or a large scene in the middle of a battle scene. And what I mean by that is my battle scene bounced between a few point of views. They weren't very long, they were generally less than 1,000 words, and then all of a sudden I had this one snippet in this battle scene that was almost 2,000 words, and my editor was like, hey, all of these other scenes are quick and it's moving the fight along very quickly and it's fast paced and it's super engaging, and then all of a sudden you have this long scene that drags on. So keep things short. Don't keep the overall battle scene short if you don't want to, but keep things quick and moving, and don't have super long chunks of text. And this is another example that I would suggest is if all of a sudden you have a paragraph that's the size of a page, there goes your fast pace of battle. That is not something that you want dragging your story down. So that was kind of a little bit of my bonus tip, but those are my 5 plus 1, I guess it ended up being 6 tips for how to improve or how to write your battle scene. If you have any tips, let me know in the comments below. There are plenty out there, but these are what I have found to be most helpful. Would love to hear from you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, and I will see you next week.